Hey, this is Kate, and you are listening to Infinite Love Podcast. On today's episode, I want to talk about the parts of healing that no one really dives deep into. I mean, sure, it's easy to talk about the positive parts, the healing parts, the better parts of life and what you're going through. But what about the hardest parts during the entire journey? The parts where things are happening for you and not to you, but yet you're still not understanding everything, and it feels so uncomfortable and at times too heavy to endure. If you're anything like me, you become frustrated because you start noticing changes, and they're good changes, and you're just starting to get comfortable with those changes, and then poof, new feelings emerge, different feelings. And now you become real uncomfortable because you've never really explored those types of feelings within. Sometimes you feel at peace and balance, and then the next day, everything just seems to be chaotic. Energies are felt differently. Everything feels heavier, and you find yourself frustrated because you want to overthink or over-tackle the next steps of healing. But it's not necessary. You just feel like you want to be in control, yet in reality, not everything has to be controlled. You just have to sit with it and find some way, somehow, to be more comfortable in it, to then allow yourself to explore what it is that you are feeling now that feels so differently. Then you begin to notice that the things you loved and enjoyed, you don't gravitate towards them much anymore. In fact, you can have conversations with people and start realizing that you don't align with their paths and their journeys. And that's okay. That's you becoming more self-aware. That's you growing and healing within. And sometimes people get stuck on that your journeys need to be entangled forever. And it's not always that simple because no two journeys are the same. Therefore, there are going to be times and moments that we each come to a crossroad and have to make a decision for ourselves, within ourselves. And you really allow yourself to trust your intuition, your all-knowing, your inner knowing. But it can be frustrating for yourself or for others. And that's okay too, because everyone has a right to their feelings. You see, I began learning that I can't rush the process of my healing, my self-healing journey, or my spiritual journey. And I learned that along the way, as I know I'm in such a better place. We're always going to be on a self-healing journey because you're truly never healed. Now try to wrap your mind around that. As long as you don't fixate on the healing process every single moment of your life, rather live it, be present in the moment. But there's just so much to unwrap because now there's the new you, and then you grieve the old you. Grieving is one of the biggest and hardest processes of beginning the self-healing journey and awakening to the new you. Because everything you learned and were taught and you once knew and believed about yourself, you no longer align to that version. Therefore, you start peeling back the layers and leaving those pieces behind. Yet, your identity isn't fully there yet, as it's a new beginning. So you're relearning yourself, the things you enjoy. And over time, that may change again. It might evolve, and you'll have to relearn. But it'll come from a better place, a place of acknowledgement. And that's where I'm at. I acknowledge that I'm forever changing for the better within, which reflects outwardly. But that also comes with a price to pay. You see, I'm learning that within my healing process, there's that uncomfortability that I'm going to trigger people. And I have explored that recently. And it is an unsettling feeling. However, it's not mine. Remember, if you feel triggered, that's yours to heal. But if someone else is triggered and projecting upon to you, that's theirs to heal. And you can't take that personally. And I don't. If anything, I hold even more compassion for them because I understand that I don't know everyone's journey. Just like you may be listening to me talk about mine, but you'll never know the true essence of me. Only I will know, and only universe will know. And it's not for me to judge or push someone along their path of healing, nor do I want to be pushed. Not in the way that isn't for my best intentions. You see, if someone's pushing you along your journey for their expectations, for their intentions, that's not alignment. And you have to be able to identify that. And when you do, it's not a red flag or something serious, but within, trust your own intuition, trust your knowing, and stay true to your path. And that's when you start learning that people take different turns. They have to go one way on their journey, and you have to go yours. And let go of those attachments. They're not necessary nor needed, yet something to heal. And hold gratitude for the time, the space, and the blessings they brought upon you within your journey in that moment. Because you never know if your path will cross again. That'll be an even greater blessing. But until then, move forward. Move forward for you. Be within your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, your alignment. Stay true to your path. And yes, it could be lonely. Again, that was another hard experience. Doing it all within, not being influenced by others, rather listening and observing others and taking the messages that I was hearing and utilizing that for myself, to better myself, for growth, with gratitude. But it is a lonely journey sometimes. Sometimes you miss the connections, the emotions. But I found a way to hold that all within my heart. The more my heart began to reopen differently and expand broadly, I held so much gratitude within those moments as I reflected upon my past for every person that's left footprints upon my heart and soul. Because in those moments, they were needed. We were needed. Our connection was needed to learn, to grow, or to be triggered for growth. And then you can walk away thinking, my God, such gratitude, versus the victim role of, ugh, what toxicity, what pain. It's not necessary, because if you're going to hold on to that, onto those feelings that weigh you down, that cause you to overthink, that cause you to doubt yourself, then that's yours and nobody else's. It's your choice to hold on to that, but that's the darkness that you choose to uncomfortably but comfortably live within. And I was doing that for so long in my journey prior to the self-healing journey that I knew what those feelings were like, and I knew how dark I created my world, that it just didn't align to my soul's intention of where I wanted my path to go moving forward. And it's frustrating at times. Trust me. The breakdowns, the agitation, the frustration, the miscommunication, and then the way we beat upon ourselves for making a mistake, which aren't really mistakes. They're just wounds from our past that are still coming up because we're not getting the full lesson. We're not learning from it. We're not utilizing the right tools to heal and move forward and grow from. And the more I accepted and embraced that and apologized and took accountability for it, the easier it got, the lighter it got. But that took a lot of time to learn, to see the cycles repeating, the patterns repeating. I mean, and there's times where I would just lay in bed at night and just talk to God and say, why is it so hard to get rid of this one pattern, this one trait I'm not aligned to anymore? I don't want that version of me. Why can't I just let it go? Why am I still having to relearn this? And then I forgive myself. I forgive myself for not getting the lesson right away, for not meeting others' expectations, because if anything, I've learned not to put expectations on others. And that took a very, very long time. I didn't even realize I was doing that. The more I centered myself, balanced myself, and trusted my timing and divine timing, and then heard others' projections of their expectations upon me, hidden behind boundaries, because it wasn't communicated properly. The messages weren't coming in clearly. Therefore, I can only respond in one way. It's a difficult process to understand and navigate through, because everything's always constantly changing in your world, the more work and the more healing you're doing, especially when it's intertwined with your spiritual journey. People have expectations of you to be this person and this version, and I don't. I still listen. I choose myself. I choose my inner knowing. I choose my intuition. And I won't abandon myself. I did not get this far to ever abandon myself for other people's perceptions or expectations of me. No way. I can't. It's impossible. And I'll never leave this version of me. I'll only continue to grow from this version to keep being the best version of myself, my most highest version. But it all takes time. And if you're so focused on, well, how long or when, it's going to take even longer. Because time to me isn't really existent anymore. I forget my days. I forget what week it is. I forget what month it is. Periods of time that felt like 2 years ago still feel like it could have been yesterday. And I find that so fascinating and beautiful. Because I know that the healing process is a very long time, but once I realize and let go of the fact that it's never finished, I let go of that pressure upon myself. And now I just enjoy the lessons. And I know I've said this in other episodes that it sounds silly or crazy. But when you know you can evolve and grow and become greater and greater every single day, filled with happiness, filled with pure love, unconditional love, joy, peace within, more so than not, it's something I cherish and beyond grateful for and am blessed with. That is why I love the lessons, why I embrace them, even on the hardest days, even when my emotions are all over the place. It just reminds me, okay, well, you're not very centered and balanced, so what do you need to do with that? How can we alleviate some of this? And then I go back. I go back into my box of tools of life and I try out different things. Or I change up my entire pattern completely because maybe I have grown so comfortable and that everything needs to be changed up a little bit to release the fear of moving forward, taking the next leap for myself. That's what this journey's been about the past 3 years, is taking leaps for myself, not for anyone else, for myself. And by taking those leaps, the fear didn't really need to be there. But had I leapt before I was ready, then the lesson might have been missed entirely. And the trauma probably would have been even greater. And that's why I listen to my intuition, why I embrace however long this journey is. I'm grateful for it. I'm not rushing the process. I'm just sitting within it and loving it and knowing that it's always going to be changing. I'm going to be meeting new people. People may leave. Everything around me will always be changing, including me. It's accepting and embracing all of it without fear, without question, without wondering if, what, when, where, how. Surrender. Trust, utilizing my faith in the way I used to use it back when I was younger, before all the trauma and the wounds began to build up, where life was an adventure, a fairy tale, filled with hopes, dreams, no limitations, no expectations, free to soar, filled with hope, filled with honesty and authenticity. The journey is what you make of it. So make it yours and choose you.